Obviously, in the last game, you had some portions where you didn't do what you want to do, but the way you finished was pretty impressive. Could you speak, and that results a win. So I know there were things you didn't like, but do you walk away thinking you made some progress there, pulling the game out?
100%. For our players to be able to, be on the field as the first 3 quarters are happening and be frustrated and to not score points and to not execute like, we expect to do. And then for them to turn the video on and say, man, what were we doing? The plays were right in front of us to be made in a lot of ways, and we just didn't execute. Yeah, that was frustrating on the day of the game for sure, but it was huge for our guys to be able to watch the video and say, man, we just have to do our jobs and execute. But the fact that we were as inconsistent as we were for the majority of the game and then found a way to get dialed in the fourth quarter and to have 2 game-winning drives and to win the football game at the end of the day, like, you're trying to win the game, and that's what we did. So really excited about those guys' ability to not go in the tank just because there wasn't a lot of production in the first 3 quarters. So they found a way to do it together, which was huge for us. And it definitely took us into the bye week, in a better place than having not played good in the fourth quarter.
The way that game unfolded and the way it resulted, is that like a really good teaching tape for patience and taking what they give you and hanging in there, and your moment will come, all those things you preach,
All of it. And it's really been, we've seen that in about every single game. We've, the ups and downs that we've unfortunately fought through and been inconsistent, and then find a way to get into the, in the zone as an offense and execute, just do our jobs. And then to see the confidence that comes from that, like, we've been talking about it all year. So we're hoping that we can really take another big step forward and just get rid of some of the inconsistencies and play our best football for 4 quarters. That would be, the expectation, 100%.
That's the next step, right?
Yes, sir.
You started good, you finished good. And then
in between, it's still the same game. Right. We get the play call, we get lined up, we know what we're doing, we execute.
Still a drive.
That's right.
Score on it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the scoreboard says. It doesn't matter who you're playing, where you're at. Like, it's about us. It's about our ability to take our plays and do our jobs consistently.
I know throughout most of the season we talked about Byram and his decision making and running out of the pocket, maybe being patient. And there's one play, and you may have looked at it more than I did, but I think it was 3rd and 8. It was on the last drive. And they had good pressure, and he hung in the pocket, and he delivered the pass to Weston Wolf to get a first down. It's a huge play. It looked like, to the naked eye, like Byram really was patient and didn't take off. Is that what happened? Do you remember that play?
I do. I think it was at that point in the game, it was the play of the game, where I think there was like 6 minutes left in the game. We're down, in like on our 12-yard line or something like that. And exactly what you said. And we've talked about that play a lot since it occurred. That was, for him, that was a huge moment in that football game of breaking out of a funk, of not seeing things clearly and maybe not being poised, and understanding that he just needs to keep his eyes down the field and just actually see what's happening, with the secondary or the progression or whatever it is. But it was a great job. It's a great job by him, moving in the pocket, keeping his eyes down the field, letting Wes do what he needed to do to get leverage to be open. And he delivered a great football, and that got us going. And it turned into momentum. And, hopefully that's a play that he can invest, in himself. And speaking of Byram and Wes for that matter, that, man, you just have to play the next play. Trust yourself and your teammates and do your job. But that was a huge play in the game.
So as you go down the stretch with Memphis and the other games going on the stretch, is there an area of the offense where you're seeking improvement, where if it would happen, you'd be as happy as you could be? I mean, is there like, if we could just do that, man, that would make such a difference.
Yeah, we're just getting rid of negative plays. That really hurt us. It's hurt us all year at times, but just getting rid of negative plays and being able to be more efficient. So it's everything. It's blocking in the run game, it's blocking in pass protection, it's the wide receivers and their execution of being lined up right, getting their route depths, doing the right thing. It's just the entire offense of being more consistent, and we'll get rid of the valleys that we slide into when we've got multiple bad plays in a row and you put yourself in third and long.
Yeah.
We have to get rid of that. We have to get rid of negative plays that put us behind the sticks, slow our tempo down, and we're just hurting ourselves. So the overall execution of everything that we have to do has got to get better.
That's Byron throwing it away. It's getting a 0 versus a -5.
It's everything. It's everything. It's missing a block up front with the O-line where, a run might be a 5-yard gain. Maybe it goes for 0, but you completely whiff on a block and it's -4, whatever it is. It could be the quarterback making a bad decision and taking a sack, whatever those things are. There's a lot of ways for an offense to mess it up. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of moving parts, but it's also not an excuse. We have to be more consistent at doing our job, understanding what it is and executing it.
Michael Brown-Stevens coming into his own in this game. Is this indicated to you that this guy's turned a corner, or he's ready to be more part of an offense now?
Yeah, he's had some bright spots, but you definitely felt like when he and Byram started to connect a little bit there in the third quarter that you could feel that Mike, man, he wanted the ball. He was hungry to get the ball. When he did get the ball, he was hungry to get up the field with it. Was really locked into what was going on, with his assignments and executing. And man, 100%, like he's got to turn the corner. He's got to, for us to get where we want to go, he's got to be able to step up. He's got to be that guy for 60 minutes. Same with Byron. Like we can't wait until the third quarter to just run our base offense and get it going that late. So you hope for those two guys, man. There was a spark. You've seen it in practice that they build on it, and we continue to grow from there.
What stands out to you about the Memphis defense and how you need to attack them?
Yeah, they play a bunch of guys everywhere, so they have good depth. You don't see a big drop off from their starters to the next guys that come up. So they're fresh. They play hard for 60 minutes. They do some good things, schematically, that they know what they're doing and they know where their weaknesses are, and they run on the football and they're physical. So, I think they played that way for a while in that program. So it's the first time I've competed against them since, 2017, but they play hard. They're physical, they're well coached. They run on the football, they pursue the ball. They create turnovers, in particular on third down. So they put their offense in a good situation just to play really good complementary team football.
I know we've talked in recent weeks about Naquan Wright, the way he's practicing, the way he's working. He's turned the corner as a leader. Certainly on the field, his last game, he's found this rhythm. Is it just kind of, let's feed this guy? Is that sort of what you're thinking with him now and keep him in that rhythm?
Yeah, he's earned the right, in a lot of ways as a leader, as a guy that produces on the field. He's got better and better each week in all of those areas. So absolutely, when you're a guy that has proven that you can do it and you can do it at a high level, we're gonna absolutely try to lean on you and build off of what you do really well. And he does it all well. He protects well. He runs the ball well. Like you said, he's growing as a leader, and his confidence kind of, inspires everybody out there. So we're definitely going to lean heavily on him.
On the O-line, are you as healthy as you've been in a while coming off that bye week?
Yeah, we definitely are. That bye week came at a good time for us. So it's good. It's good to have, some faces that weren't out there for a couple weeks, out there competing right now.
And Cole Skinner, he'll continue to be your guy. He's
got to continue to grow. You know, he got an opportunity that he hadn't had all year long, and man, the moment wasn't too big for him. He got in there and he was physical. Man, it wasn't 100% in terms of knowing what he's supposed to do all the time and his execution, but he played hard and he played fast. He gave us a chance to go run our offense. So he's a young guy. He's got a lot to learn in his process of bringing it every single day in practice. So, but we're excited about his future. And, you know, we're really excited that he got out there and we won the football game and finished the football game with him playing in a role that he hadn't been in before. So he's got to continue to step on it and turn it on for everybody.
Leo. Good morning, Coach, and thank you for doing this. Yeah, I'm not driving today. I'm, so we're good shape there. Coach, from being a former player, and it was not during the leather helmet era, it was a little bit later, and a former college coach, every game's meaningful. But you guys are playing meaningful football games in November. That hasn't happened too often in USF in the recent history. How important is it looking that, hey, we got a shot at playing bonus football in December if we win a couple more games?
You know, when Coach Golish took over the program, he made it clear immediately that the way that we're going to do things in this program off the field, and in your question on the field, how we're going to do it, man, we expect to get to the point where we're winning games and putting yourself in a situation to, you know, not necessarily just make it to the postseason, but put yourself in a situation where you're competing for championships. And for our guys to be, 8 games into the season and you're going into November and every single game on the calendar absolutely means that you're still in the hunt for everything that you set out for is, man, it's huge. And hopefully our guys understand that they've worked hard enough and done enough on the field to put themselves in that situation. And it only, lights the fire a little bit more moving forward.
Coach, when you look at the fourth quarter of the Connecticut football game, was that complimentary football 101? Defense got you the ball, you scored. Defense got you the ball, you scored. That's what you want to be playing, correct?
For sure. We would love to do it for 60 minutes. Now, what our guys figured out, man, our defense did a great job. Like, man, we can't win the football game unless we get the ball back to the offense, and they did a great job of doing that. And what our guys did was they realized, man, we're about out of time here. So we got to turn it on, and we got to do our jobs and go execute, move the ball and get points. And it was awesome to see. So like I talked about earlier today, our next step is to not wait around until the fourth quarter to just get locked in and understand that it's about just being efficient and being locked in and doing that for 60 minutes.
Coach, everybody talks about the bye week. Now you can rest, get healthy, but you can finally do some self-scouting on yourself with a little bit of time. Isn't that important also?
For sure it is. You get to the point in season, you play 8 games in a row with no break. And, we try to do a really good job every single week of understanding what we've done in certain situations. So we're self-scouting, each week, but you get to the point where you can look at the whole and you can look at what you've done over the course of, 8 games into the season. It definitely gives you a chance to be really, efficient and kind of fine-tooth comb, your own self-scout, your tendencies.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck Saturday in Memphis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Coach.
All right, Joey, why don't you start off? Coach Orlando.
Yeah, Coach, coming down the home stretch, if there was some aspect of your defense that if you could improve it, it would make you the happiest, what is it?
Just execution more than anything else. Guys, everybody out in the field doing their job at a high level. And that goes through communication. It goes through a whole bunch of stuff. But you continue to work, some of the stuff, like I said beforehand, you kind of look at last week's game, you start to fine tune what you can play and what you feel comfortable about, just so you can eliminate as many mental mistakes as possible. So if you're asking me like, hey, listen, like, what do we got to get accomplished? When you put that film on, everybody's exactly where they're supposed to be, and we're going to make everybody earn every yard instead of giving them to them. So you saw that in the last couple of weeks before we got into Connecticut. But even in Connecticut, there was some plays that, hey, do your job at a higher level and we'll have more success. So that's a little bit in terms of just kind of shrinking down to what we're doing, but then just being really consistent in terms of what we're asking guys to do. And if they still can't gather that, creating enough competition to have somebody else that's ready to play for them. So that's what we'd like to see.
More the overall than stop the run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just the overall.
I think it's anytime you're coming in as a first year staff, as you start the game plan, as you start to want to do little different things, you always got to be mindful of that. Is how much does that affect your overall execution? So I think that's what I'm learning right now more than anything else is line up, get your cleat set, play fast, play hard to the football, no more thinking. But from a standpoint of doing your job at a high level, that still goes into having some competition behind it. Because, if you have somebody that can take your job, you're probably going to be a little bit more buttoned up and a little bit more on point. And creating that competition, especially as we get, down the stretch here, because there's some people that are banged up, and then there's some people that we believe can play winning snaps for us that haven't played a lot. Those guys got to come along to create that stuff so we can put them into the game.
When you look at Memphis's offense, obviously their quarterback is very experienced.
Yeah.
They can run the ball. Is it not, don't really have a priority on what to stop because they do both things well?
Yeah, a little bit, but you have to start with the run game. I think if you have to start all the time with that. Their backs are explosive. Their backs are fast. They're physical. Up front, they're big. And I think, it doesn't take much to turn and hand the ball off, and you can be like super efficient from that standpoint. And then we got to take our shots. The QB is excellent at, reading pressure, reading looks, like you said, experience. Second play of the North Texas game, he puts him in a perfect call versus a blitz, and it goes for 60 to the house. So we're going to have to mix it up. There's no doubt about it, but we have to stop their run game because they'll run it all day, and then we'll have no answer for that.
When you're running up against a quarterback like this that's experienced and looks like he's been there before, he has been there before, but just seems to know the right way. How do you get him off his mark?
Well, I think it's pre-snap, and that's the part with most experienced guys is, he's been in a room for probably 20 hours straight just watching our stuff and the mannerisms of our players and what a blitz looks like from the standpoint of a linebacker, whether it's up front, whether it's a safety. And that's where we have to be extremely smart. It's like if he puts him, they call a play, he runs the play and doesn't know something's coming, you live with the result. It's player on player, but we got to be mindful that if he sees it and puts him into a better call, that if you live that way, he'll beat you up. He's already proved that he can do that. That's why I think he's at his best. So to me, it's the pre-snap stuff that we got to be extremely mindful of if we're going to pressure, and then pre-snap stuff in terms of coverage-wise to not tip his hand so he knows where to go to football. When they snap the football and they see rotation, let him think that way and not pre-snap, and that's what we're going to have to do.
Yeah. And I know obviously a huge priority coming the season was takeaways, and you've gotten some. You've had some games where you haven't got much.
Yeah.
But UConn looked like that was maybe more what you're looking for,
Yeah,
particularly when it mattered.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's in college football nowadays. It's you're talking about third down turnovers. If you're playing decent on first and second down, it's a huge part. You can go +2 and win a boatload of games. You go +3, you're going to win probably every one of them. So it's been stress. It's just we need to learn how to finish plays, especially in the pass game. I thought there were some more opportunities out there, even for the last couple of weeks, that we got to go up and get the football. But I think Shu started us off early in that game. He ends up getting the ball out. We end up recovering it. And what we're trying to teach our defensive guys is that ball was recovered like on the 11-yard line. I mean, that's like you don't even have to do anything, and you just got 3 points for our team. So flipping the field, third downs, turnovers, giving our offense an opportunity to get 2 first downs and for us to get points is just it's a process with our guys. And like sometimes we play every play like it's just a normal play. And sometimes from a turnover standpoint, we don't know how critical those things are, because when you get into the fourth quarter, that one play that you could have made could be the difference between the ball game or not. So it's playmaking ability / running to the football / finishing plays when you have a chance to do it.
And that UConn game, you know, somebody's writing a story about that game. We're going to write about how the offense really stepped up at the right time, but part of that is you guys giving the ball back.
Yeah.
So was that, you know, it was with as much praise on the offense. Was there a lot of satisfaction on your part that you guys?
Here's what I liked about that game. I liked the fact that we kept battling. I liked the fact that it got into the fourth quarter and we made plays in the fourth quarter, because, you know, you get into that situation. We just took the lead. They got the ball. Who knows? They go and score. It's Heartbreak Hotel. You know what I'm saying? But we go out there, we make a play, and then we get an opportunity to get on the field, you know, and win the game that way. So that's awesome. But it all came into play was high level execution, turnovers, third down stops, which we've been talking about since I've gotten here. But we have, like, you look at UAB and you look at FAU, when it got into late into the third quarter, we weren't at our best at all. But I thought when we got into Connecticut, it was like it just took a handful of guys making some plays, and then that belief got into it, like, we're going to win this ball game. So that's the part. And I'm telling you, it's when you haven't won a lot of games around, there's always that creep of doubt that goes into your head. And I thought that game was like us. Like, I don't care what the actual result is. We're just going to keep playing. And we did that, and we end up making the play that we needed to. So that part, the play that Mac made on that was a huge part of winning that ball game.
Go ahead, Leo.
Hey, Coach, you're throwing me a little bit of a curveball today. Normally you're the leadoff
boss.
batter. You know, what's going on? Did you stay in the lineup for a reason?
I tried to walk off the field. I thought we were still on a bye week. That's my fault.
No problem. Hey, Coach, one thing that I've seen in your 8 games that resonates through all the wins is a pass rush. You're getting that quarterback off his spot and making him uncomfortable. How important is that Saturday at Memphis?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's going to be huge just to be disruptive up there, but it's going to be huge to try to create negative yardage plays. I think the guys, like, if you kind of look at where we've struggled at on third down, is we've struggled like on third and short, and I think a lot of people would struggle that way. But if you look at our efficiency on longer yardage third downs, it makes it easier to call the game, and it gives you more of a chance to get your offense back on the field. But yeah, that's a really, really good point. When we have an opportunity to create negative yardage play, sacks, or we're close enough to disrupt the timing of the routes, I think they're absolutely critical. And I think that's going to be a huge part of Saturday's game.
Coach, with the spread offense, you're seeing it every week. They got you spread sideline to sideline. How important is that initial tackler getting that guy to the ground right away?
Yeah, it's huge, but that's how they're built too. You know what I'm saying? So they'll put you in space and then, you know, take a look at the one-on-ones, you know, our guy versus their guy. But I always have said this, you're going to miss tackles. Hopefully it's not at a high percentage, but we got to get guys that peel off blockers and get to the ball and be able to help them out. So that's the whole thing about pursuit and running to the football, which I didn't think in the game prior to Connecticut, you know, it wasn't the standard that we want it to be. But I think, you know, with the little bit of the break we had last week, and now the guys are a little bit freshened up, we got to get back to what, you know, we were early on in the season, is running to the football as hard as we can and covering up our brother, because those things are hard to do. I mean, it's hard to be 90% open field tackle in college football today based on how talented some of the offenses are.
Coach, fourth quarter against Connecticut, it was complimentary football 101, wasn't it?
Absolutely. You know, and it was really, really cool because, you know, that place, you know, I coached there beforehand. That place has some wind element to it. It has a cold element to it. But I felt like that third quarter, they had to win because we made the decision to take the win in the fourth quarter, which I thought was outstanding call by Coach. And we got through it and was 0-0. Nobody scored, and we went to the fourth quarter. You could just feel it. You could feel the momentum change. You could feel our offense, and then when our defense went out there to get the ball back to them, you could just feel that momentum shift. And at the tail end of the game, you know, for our offense to cash in, and then for us to go out in the field and create a turnover, that was awesome, man. That's exactly what we needed. Are you talking about like medicine for us coming off of like 2 games that we did not perform well, to go into that locker room? And that's what it felt in the locker room. You know, sometimes you go in there, you win a game, and maybe there's one unit that did better than the other unit, but we celebrated that like a true team victory.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you Saturday from Memphis.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, good seeing you.